emborrachar, pero como soy de ustedes, yo le invitaré a guachar. Conmigo sí, todo hay para oírme guarachar, pero como soy de ustedes, yo le invitaré a gozar. Conmigo sí van a bailar, yo le invitaré a gozar. Conmigo sí, ¡epa! ¡Que cante
¡Guapa!
mi gente! Alexa, stop.
Yes.
Buenas tardes, mi gente. Gracias por venir. Thank you for tuning in. I'm excited this afternoon because I have this extraordinary guest that is going to be sharing with us today all about her entrepreneurial spirit. She's an author, she's a publisher, she's a pilot in command. What is she not? We're gonna pretty soon we're gonna hear from Jackie, and she's gonna tell all about her story in how she became a pilot and her journey in living a purpose-driven life. So please help me welcome Jacqueline Camacho, La Pilotina. Hola, Jackie.
Gracias. Gracias. Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me on this beautiful day, which is November 11th, 2020. I mean, it's like a beautiful number.
Yeah, let's remind people, buy your tickets today. It's 11:11. It's the master number of the universe. If you guys don't believe in this, I don't play, you still got to buy a ticket to play so you can win.
And joining me today is my faithful companion, Amelia. Mwah.
Amelia, that's right.
Yes.
So I know you all can wait to hear from Jackie, and I'm going to allow Jackie to have her time and her space. We're just going to be chatting like two friends that are running into each other, and she's going to tell me all about her wonderful thing that she's doing, her love for books, a great story that she has about a fig tree, and how she became a pilot in command. Okay, Jackie. So tell us about how you begin your journey, and when did you realize that you have within you this love for books?
You know what? It was sort of an accident because my mom, unbeknownst to her, she was creating this little monster of self-development when she had all these amazing books, around, and she used to be involved with a lot of multi-level marketing companies. So being the only girl and the youngest, I was always with my mom. So she would take me on these conferences, and then she would just have these amazing books laying around from like Dale Carnegie, Napoleon Hill, Zig Ziglar, Agmandino. And I was like, what are these books, right? So they were my escape. They were kind of like my babysitters. And I would devour them, and I would be like, wow, this is so amazing.
How old were you?
I was about 4 years old when I started reading, and I just like dove into this.
And you
amazing.
learned on your own? I mean,
Mhm.
did you have an adult that was teaching you how to read, or you just taught yourself to read?
I was like super, how do you call it? Like, I've always been very proactive, like get an
Gifted
idea.
child,
Mhm.
precoso.
Yeah. And even my cousins, like, how did you learn? Because I was, beginning in, kindergarten. And they're like, I was already reading like the back of shampoos and the back of prescriptions and stuff. And I remember that when I was in third grade,
Wow.
I actually, and my cousin actually reminded me, she's like, no, you were 4 years old when you started reading. I remember that vividly. And I was so blown away that you were actually reading like these prescriptions. And it was interesting. So I don't know if it was because I was exposed to a lot of literature. I didn't remember how old I was. And then she's like, I remember you were 4. And then what was interesting too is that I used to do the homework of my 5th grade friend when I was in third grade. And I didn't even know anything about, I mean, I hadn't been exposed to fifth
Funny.
grade math and stuff, but I would just use my logic. And I was, honors, in every school that I went to, and I moved quite a bit, when I
Yes.
was, probably went to 3 kindergartens and, 3 elementary schools, between Mexico City and Aguascalientes. And I just, I remember vividly doing my friend's homework, and I
Wow.
was just in third grade and she was in 5th grade. And so I was always sort of like seeking something like, going beyond, going beyond sort of the kind of the status quo, or like where I was, and adapting fairly quickly to my new environments. and just thriving, and as far as like a student, so I was kind of a little bit ahead of my time when it came to education.
No, it's funny that when you were saying that, Jackie, because I'm looking at you right now, and for all of you that are listening to this live or tuning later or watch the replay, as she's saying this to us, it kept coming jumping at me, Japan, Japan, because from the moment I met Jackie, I could see her pheno, her genotype. Obviously, she has some Asian background ancestry. It's not uncommon because we came from that side of the world anyway, from the female mitochondria. And so she just kind of looks a little bit of Japanese. And if I'm not mistaken, you do have some ancestry, Asian ancestry, Jackie? Didn't you mention once
Yes,
that?
I actually. So what's interesting is that when I was 23 years old, they discovered that that I had a congenital condition that
Yeah.
happens in 1 out of 150,000 people in this part of the hemisphere, and it's I had type 2, which is 3% of the cases found, and it was found that it was very common in young Japanese girls. So, and then coincidentally, a friend of mine who's half Japanese, half Mexican, her, Minuejo Shrida, dear friend of
Yes.
mine, said she came over to my house a few years ago for the first time and said, "Oh my God, like your house is impeccable. Like this is how my dad is, my Japanese side. I think you're Japanese." And I'm like, and of course, the doctors had
Really?
already told me about my condition that, really I'm alive
Yes.
because they found that, I found it through an Indian spice.
Yes.
But what was interesting, she kind of planted that seed. She's like, you should check it out. I think you're Japanese. And I did a DNA test and I came back
You
with
did.
18% Asian.
You
I was
see?
like, wow. And I love Japanese pens. Like I have, Japanese pens everywhere. I don't know where my see like I buy them at, buy the New York Times in New York. I go to that Japanese
Yeah.
store and it's like everything comes together.
No, no,
But
and the
we
only
don't know.
reason, this is all in the flow. I just go when I feel the energy when I'm talking to my guests, and of course when she
Mhm.
shared that. Also, we have something very common between Jackie and I, because I have a grandson that he's half Japanese. So why I'm sharing this with you all was because when she was talking about how precocious she was as a child, her love for books, and said she was very curious and she was always learning the back of prescriptions about her shampoo. She was learning her friend of fifth grade when she was in third grade to do their homework. Hello, people. And then ito pala, she looks Japanese. Why am I sharing this? Because my grandson, he only turned 2 years old in October 20th. And before he reached 2 years old, he already, and there's a video to prove it. When my son sent this to me, I dropped my jaw. Not even 2 years old, and he's already knows the whole alphabet in English. But he's also speaking, learning Japanese and English. So I know it is part of your genetic makeup, that being so bright and precocious and all that, it comes with your genetic makeup. So there's no coincidence, my love. I just wanted to share that with you.
You know what? And I've
So
been
thank
learning
you.
so much more about the Japanese culture, like your ikigai, which is your
Yeah,
passion, your
yeah,
mission, and then I was reading this amazing book the other day called Wabi Sabi.
yes. I
And
heard
it's
about it.
basically this idea of how nature gives us the imperfect beauty of life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's part of our magic, it's part of the
Maybe
magic
we're
of our
going to go to
lives.
Japan. I can wait for this COVID-19 to be
Yes.
over so I can go visit my
Oh
grandson.
my
I was
God,
supposed to be
it's
there
one of my.
April.
I think we should go together because
We should
I've
go.
been
No,
wanting
no.
to
I'm
go to
telling you, I
Japan.
want to get a whole
Um,
bunch of ladies when I'm there next because I want to spend some time there only so I can, spend time
Beautiful.
with my grandson. And I've gone already twice, and I have spent a lot of time getting to know. And it's so different than we are, but it's so lovely, so beautiful. I love the collective mindsets of group. No one is self-absorbed. Even if they are, they put the group mentality first, and that's something that we
Mhm.
Americans can learn from that, right? So now
Yeah,
let's go
my
back to Jackie.
my niece was actually there for a couple of weeks, a couple of years ago, and she fell in love with it. She's like, I want to go back again.
Wow,
It's
was
a
that the one
beautiful
that I met that you were flying one day on the plane that you sent a picture?
No, this is another my
Another
other
niece.
niece
Okay.
from Texas.
Yes.
Yeah,
So when
but
was
yeah, she fell in love. Mhm.
I know you have a long list of books. People were talking over. 24. I don't even dare to do a number as I'm saying this number.
24.
It's just spitting them out as we're speaking. So how many books you have so far already, Jackie?
Under my name,
Under your
published
name.
under my
Yeah.
name, 24.
24.
7 of those
Yes.
during the pandemic, 2020.
This year, 7 books of those.
7 books, yeah.
Wow. Well, right now I want to know about the very first one. The first book that got you started in this power machine of publishing and inspiring others to jump in that bandwagon and take that ride with you. Which one was the first book? The one that started all?
The one that started it all.
Yeah.
Let me show it to you. I actually have it right here. I have a copy here.
Do you really? Cool.
Here
Very good.
it is.
Ah, what
The
is that?
little book of business secrets that work.
Okay.
Look
Very
how young I was.
You're such a girl, too. Jackie, you haven't changed much. You still look the same. How old was that? How long ago? I mean, how long ago was the book?
This was published in June 2010.
10 years ago.
10 years ago.
Ah.
And I basically poured everything. I mean, 200 little business secrets at work.
Mm-hmm.
And it's 200 how-tos in the areas of startup, sales, customer retention, motivation.
Yes.
And the idea is that I captured 3.5 years of my journey as an entrepreneur when I started my first company when I was 23. And when I gave birth to my daughter, I was like, I was just reading my journal, right? I mean, I have journals galore. And as I was reading it, I'm like, you know what? I could share that. I could share that with people. I could share that. And for me, having survived 2 situations with cancer at the age of 21 and 23,
Wow.
something awakened inside of me. I said, you know what? I want my children to know who I am. And I know that if I write it on a wall, if I write it on a poster, if I write it on a journal, that is not going to be the same that is if I write a book. And what I knew at that time, when I had invested my whole life into, was business. That was my biggest dream, to be an entrepreneur in the land of dreams. So it just came to me. I was reading that. I'm like, wait a minute. I had over 300 little sound bites that I could take out. And then it took me about 7 other months to elaborate on every single one of them. So what you have is this. It's basically, the little secrets, why it's important, the idea, and then you have an action item that you can take. So 200 of them, 70 of these are all about motivation.
That was your very first one.
Yes, this is my first book.
Wow. And when did now that you have one that you gave me a copy, and I'm embarrassed to say I don't have it here with me because when I moved from Albany, I got a lot of my books. This is kind of like my transitional place. So not everything that I have when I left Albany is here with me. So I don't have all my books, but it was the one that you shared with me when I first met you. And I would like you to guys share your story about the fig factor.
Yes. Oh my God. Okay. So that was my third book. The Fig Factor is a memoir. And the only reason why I made that happen, just so you know, on the book side is because an association hired me to be a keynote speaker for 500 people. And they said, we want to buy 200 copies of your book. And hold on just one second. My daughter, hold on. Just.
That's okay. This is kind of like being at home, like we're having a cup of coffee.
No, Mommy. Excuse me.
The next interview, I'm going to be interviewing Juliana. Ask her if she wants to be on my show.
Want to be on camera? Because we're live on a video. So anyway, so yeah, kids. I mean, she should be in school right now, right?
It's part of motherhood. It's okay. And everybody that is teaching at home or dealing with their kids remotely, this is what you deal with. It is fine. Welcome to the home. Welcome to the family.
Yeah, it's like we're dealing with all kinds of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think that idea. Look at that. They're fighting in the background.
I'm so proud they haven't showed the cat. Look at me. I'm thinking I'm in your living room. I'm going
they love. I mean,
hello.
They love each other. They hate each other in the same sentence, And here we are. I mean, just making it all work. But yeah, I mean, it's that book that sort of like when they said, I want to buy 200 copies of this book, I was like, okay, what book? Do you mean the little book of business secrets? And they said, no, the Fig Factor, the one that you're working on. And we're like, wow, I can't believe this. Sorry. Oh,
Have you given like a, that's okay. They can actually come and play, and I want to see the
yeah,
cat. I haven't seen
yeah.
the cat.
They're, I think, fighting right now without playing.
You only have Coco, right? You still got Coco?
Yeah, no, we don't have Coco anymore.
Oh no.
Coco was
Oh,
our cat, and
I remember. Yes.
we left him. We left him with a neighbor for a couple of weeks when we went to Mexico, and when we came back, he was like a total different cat. I mean, he was not. I mean, it was just. I don't know how to explain it, but he
He was
changed.
pistofiado. I say that
Yeah,
pistofiado. That's a
I,
Spanglish.
I think he probably felt abandoned. He's like, wow, it was 2 weeks. So we're thinking, oh my God, what do we do? So we're like, is there something wrong with him? We took him to the vet. We took him this, we took him to a cat whisperer. She's like, I know everything about cats. And you know what? We tried, exhausted everything. And I don't know. I know he started just misbehaving, and we're like, okay, we can't have that.
No, listen,
So
that happened. I used to have a
it broke
cat,
my heart,
a
because
female
Juliana
cat,
loved Coco.
and we actually, this was funny. I went away for like 3 weeks, and the kids were awake in the summer with their father, right? And when we came back, that I went and got my cat, just let's number. I went to work and left. I came back. She had destroyed a closet of mine where I had my clothes. And somehow, and you can tell it was the liver because she hung up from the clothes. She dumped a few on the ground. And one of my most precious possession, which was this beautiful leather jacket that I remember I saved a lot of money to buy that jacket, that it was very expensive. It fell on the floor. Of course, guess what she did? She used to ask her little box for
Oh,
the one day. I still have the jacket. I have sent it to several parts in the United States, and they can get rid of the smell. I don't use it though.
oh my
But yeah,
God.
cats can do that when you leave them. They can be vindictive and
And I
be
think, it's like
weird.
I don't know, they probably say, well, it's 2 weeks. I mean, did they just abandon me, or, and it was hard, it was
And
hard.
is he with those people now? Where is he now?
Yeah, he's with a neighbor. Basically, she's kind of like a cat, sort of kind of a transitional home.
Was that the
She
lady that I
takes care of
met?
them.
That she had all the cats in the basement?
Yes. Yes.
Ah, but she's
Yeah, and then she
in good
basically got
hands.
rid of that because she got sick, and now
Yeah.
it's basically it's just a couple of cats that she decided to keep, and she said to keep Coco. Um, Now his name is something else now, but
Oh, that's
it
too
was
funny.
it was a very difficult time, and it goes to show. I mean, we're all human. We're navigating through life circumstance. I mean, you saw, my kids are supposed to be in school at the moment. Actually, I think they might have, depending on what time it is. Because today is Veterans Day, so they probably have
It is
extra
no,
energy.
today. Oh, I don't
But
think they go to school in Veterans Day. Isn't that a federal
I think
holiday?
they went half of school today. Yeah, I just realized that it's
Yeah.
already
No, they're
1:32.
just partying right now, girl.
There, yeah. And I closed the door. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this live, and of
They
course
can
they don't.
join us. It's okay. Hey, this is hey America. This is the face of a working mama, entrepreneur,
Here's
and
what we
everything
do.
else she does, and a servant leader.
And you know
That's
what?
what we do.
Exactly. And we somehow make it work, right? Because if I could,
Exactly.
I could do this, I could, run a couple of companies, run two nonprofit organizations, do the book stuff, and fly planes, and, come back and land and cook and do whatever, it's real. I mean, the struggle is real. I mean, we sometimes, don't think, oh, oh, look, everything is great. Look at all the stuff she's doing. But they don't think about all the sacrifice and all the hard work and all the dedication and everything that happens, when you're trying to do something, for you and your family, and for elevating, whatever that mission is in your life. and
Yes.
and but I do not just love what I do,
Yes.
all of it. But yeah, you were talking about the story of the
Oh,
fig.
the fig. I was about to say, tell me the story of
So
the fig.
both of my parents were entrepreneurs. We were living in Mexico City, and it's a at that point I remember that it was over polluted too, and it's probably still hi Carlos, and but I remember seeing this beautiful fig tree in the backyard. I mean, it was like a really tiny yard, And for whatever reason, one thing that I remember about the tree is that it would give figs all year round, and some of them would fall, on the ground. And seeing my mom and dad both be entrepreneurs, one day I just decided, you know what? I'm gonna make something out of this. Like, I climbed up and I got as many figs as I could find. And I went outside
You
and I
climbed the
started.
tree.
I basically decided to create my first company. I said, okay, this is, my first business.
How old were
So
you?
I went out, yeah, I literally had a wobbly table with a whole bunch of figs and I started selling them. The problem is that most people didn't even know that I was there. They completely would ignore me. They were
Oh,
just so busy with their suits, going and running to the office and doing all that stuff. I'm like, wait a minute. That's not what's supposed to happen when you create a business. People are supposed to come to you. Like, I can't wait to buy the product, right? Well, it wasn't the case. And I think that was my first brush with, you got to make it happen. You got to be intentional. And if you create a new product or a service, you have to intercept the need and you have to, like ask for for what you want and not stand on the sidelines. And I started chasing them down the street. I said, guess what? Today you can buy this amazing figs. 5 figs for only 3 pesos. You can take him to the office. You can make an impact. And they would come back all the way to my little tiny table and they would buy.
how old were you, Jackie? How old were you?
Okay,
I
so
want
that's
people to
another
know.
one that my mom reminded me. She says, you were 5 years old. And I asked her, because I interviewed my entire family for my memoir, because, there were things that I didn't necessarily, I can't
Yes.
remember every single detail. And she's like, yeah, you had sold 30 pesos in figs by the
Wow.
time I noticed. And you went outside and I was blown away, like literally blown away. And I couldn't believe.
So that day, your destiny was sealed and the fate, and then you just took flight from there. And
Exactly.
also, that people don't know about Jackie. She's also a pilot in command. And before she gets to started telling us about that, I want to share a small clip of Jackie in her glory as a pilot. So bear with me for just one moment. Let me get here to my brand. Of course, it will help if I wear my glasses, right, Jackie? See your moment, people.
I need my glasses too for my landing. So
I,
totally.
I can see. I can only see Jackie and not that well. Look at how beautiful she looks. I get to see you better now, Jackie. That's too
I
funny.
love it.
All right, let's see my little Pilotina here. Here we go.
Good video.
Let me see which one. Oh, where's my videos? Oh, here we go. Okay, this one, I'm gonna start. Well, you tell us about this one first. You might not be the plane because I got the pictures. There
You see, there are 2 ways that you can manifest your dreams. The most powerful one is one that I love and one that I live by every single day of my life. And it's called an inspiration. An inspiration to me is an idea with an amazing feeling. A feeling that if you don't do it, you're not fulfilling your mission in life. There are a handful of experiences that I've had that I say this is clearly an inspiration. Today's Inspire Latina was one of them. My foundation was another one. Becoming a pilot was another inspiration. So next time you feel your heart beat faster, like my daughter says, think about how you are going to make that inspiration come to life. Because those are the ones that propel you to your greatest potential and allow you to manifest every single one of your dreams.
Yes.
I know that. Wow. Yeah,
Jackie.
I didn't
love
remember that
whole
one.
problem. I just found it in YouTube. I was trying to find your small clips so I can upload it immediately to StreamYard. And I love the colors on that one. You look so beautiful in there. And it showed the plane. I forgot that one was
The actual, the landings.
exactly.
Yeah, well, that's becoming a licensed pilot here in the United States is changed my life in so many ways, and I think for me it's been one of the most difficult things and challenges that I had to do, because you can't just give yourself 5%.
No.
You got to give 100% of you, because your life depends on it.
Yes.
And every time that you take off and every time that you decide to take off, you also have to land. And it's a huge responsibility, and it's like I said, one of the most difficult things that I've had to conquer. And when I heard the words, "You are a pilot in command,"
Oh,
by
wow.
the FAA examiner.
Wow. Now, and that's what I wanted to ask you. When did you actually find out that you wanted to be a pilot? Because you got the bookings going on, you're an entrepreneur, you're creating your business, you're working on your business, you're doing all this thing. And one morning you got, oh, maybe as a child, you saw a movie that had a plane, you saw a storybook about Amelia Hart, and then you decide, that's the one thing I haven't done yet. And I'm about to do that. I'm going to become a pilot. When was that date or that time that you realized,
Um,
I want to be a pilot?
I think, when you expose yourself to different things, then you kind of like feel that like a spark with some of those things. And that's why it's so important for young people to be exposed to a variety of things so that they can say, I like that, I like that, I hate that, because if you're not exposed to it, you never know. So we went to a hot air balloon festival, my husband and I, and we saw this little plane that looked like a toy. And we approached them and say, hey, is this a toy? It's like, no, it's a flyable, airworthy plane. Like you could actually fly this thing. It's a new license that the FAA introduced in 2004 to respond to the declining population of pilots. And it's called a sports, aircraft, light sport aircraft. And so we bought a Discovery flight. They had them on sale, so we went up during the summer, and they took off the doors of the plane. I immediately felt something. I felt a connection with the air. I felt a connection with the open, no doors, like a free bird. My husband, not quite so much, because the plane is really small for him, and he really loves the speed. And even though you're going, 100 and 120 miles an hour, equivalent to the ground speed in the air, you don't really feel that. When you're flying, you feel more like slower pace, and it's beautiful, and it's zen, and it's magic. And but it wasn't until a few months later when I got invited to speak.
And let me pause for a second. And how old you were? I want people to know.
This is about
Like
6 years
time
ago.
frame. How old were you? How old were you?
31.
31, my gente, 31. She didn't
Yeah.
start when she was 18.
31,
She
yeah.
didn't start when she was 19.
It
31
wasn't
years
even
old.
part of my radar as a
There
dream,
you go.
so
Okay,
this goes to
continue.
show you that you can intercept a dream at any age, in any moment. If you surrender to that, and if it's something that calls your heart, you can do it. It wasn't until I got invited to an island on the Mississippi River. And this is an island called Rock Island Arsenal. It's ran by the United States Army, and 300 soldiers live on that island. And they invited me to be the keynote speaker for the Hispanic Heritage Month celebration. It was a day to remember. It was beautiful. But I also had an event for my seventh book, Today's Inspired Latina, Volume 1.
The volume
That
one.
evening, that same time, in the other side of, the Illinois area. And I said, I can't make it to both. So by that time, I was doing the marketing for the aviation school. And I called them up and I said, I need a ride to this island, because I can't make it with traffic. I won't be able to make it to both events. And they flew me, to the private side of the airport. I was picked up by a sergeant, greeted by a colonel, a 3-star, colonel there. And I did a 10-minute keynote. They paid me thousands of dollars for that keynote. I had a coin of excellence by the United States Army, a standing ovation by 300 soldiers in uniform. And it was like beyond magical, TV interviews and a whole bunch of stuff. Flew back on the plane, got into my sports car, because I was also racing on the track with my husband at that time. So we had, a couple of race cars, and we
Listen up, people. These are the real super women out there, okay? They don't wear these guys. They're actually out there.
So I'm like, this sports car is coming very handy right now, because I got to get to my next destination. And I just kind of like stopped for a moment, and I reflected on what had happened that day. And I was blown away. I said, wow, aviation allowed me to make it to both events without a worry.
There you go.
So, I just kind of let it go. Kind of, like, okay, that's great. Liking something doesn't mean that you're going to spend the next 2 years,
Exactly.
grinding your brain and expanding it 25% so that you can capture all this knowledge about, flying and staying, safe. And it's hard. It's hard. To give you a perspective, we have like a Bible for pilots, it's called a Far Aim. 1/3 of that book is how you actually get your license, and 2/3 of that book is how you lose your license.
Oh boy. Yeah.
It's a real, it's not a joke. It's so you have to feel the conviction. You have to feel the magic of, sorry, she just did a beautiful, I don't know.
Oh, how
And then she was
beautiful,
putting it on top of the
Juliana.
computer.
I know, that's so adorable.
She's an artist,
You know what? It's funny at that age. It's funny that you draw that, but that's what I used to do. I used to be crazy about Christmas tree, just like we watch in American TV in Puerto Rico. And I will draw those kind of trees all the time, especially around the holidays. So she's right at the
I
age.
think Halloween is over, so now it's like all about.
Like, oh yeah, I'm with her. I'm already decorating little by little.
Yeah.
So Jackie, isn't that funny? You just said something very important for anyone that is listening to Jackie speaking and talking about how she found her passion with aviation. It was something that it came to her one day and she felt it in her heart. And she decided to go for it. But listen to what she said. The book alone to begin oh, I'm sorry, I lost my moment. What? See in your moment. To be a pilot, what I'm saying is,
I call those brain farts.
Thank you.
I try to avoid them when I'm flying a plane, but they've happened too.
I was going to say it, but since you said pilot in command, go for it. Thank you for doing it for me. But what I'm saying is that check out the book. It's basically, just remind me when I was in government about many projects. It is designed almost to discourage you, because it is designed to say you really got to feel what it takes to do this, because this book alone is going to tell you all the reason why it might not be the thing for you. So that's why exactly the reason they're designed that way. They really want to dig deep inside of you to say, yes, I'm ready to be a pilot. I got what it takes to do this, and I'm committed and disciplined to do it. And that's
and then like when you think, oh, I've arrived, I know everything about flying a plane. I've landed. Oh my God, Pati Figueroa, un besito.
Hello, Patty. Thank you for stopping by. I'm sorry.
I love it. Oh no, she's absolutely amazing. Mariana.
I know. I try to tell people. I know that this show is like I'm home and people come over and they knock at the door. Hey, man, what's going on? What's cooking? Any coffee? The same way.
I love it.
So please continue, Jackie.
No, but I think that there are things that take 5% of your brain, things that take 50%, 70% of your brain, and there are things that take 101% of your brain. And that's, to me, like I said, that's been aviation, and it's taught me so much about myself in dealing with pressure situations and surviving turbulences, and always focusing on that landing. Stripping out any drama, stripping out anything that clouds your thinking, because you're not only creating situational awareness around the aircraft, but you're also taking a look at all the gauges, like what's happening. What is my oil pressure? Is the engine overheating? Am I exceeding my speed limits? Am I, gliding down to the runway? And I think it just takes, like I said, a lot of you. And then I take those lessons, because I'm humbled by aviation. And I always say that flying grounds me. Grounds my thoughts, makes me humble, makes me so much more appreciative of, the things that are on the ground. Tonight, I'm actually taking a lakefront flight at night through, with one of my pilot friends, Peter. And
I met Pete. He's a sweetheart.
Yes, and we're doing a lakefront, flight today.
Very
and
nice.
It's a beautiful view. And
hopefully you'll be able to guys come out here one time, and I know there's
I've been looking at those airports. Yeah,
I think they're in play. Maybe you and I and Peter. I mean, Peter can come out, and there's so many beautiful places to so you're welcome to do that whenever you
love that. And then my next goal, I mean, I'm already a couple steps away from getting my next license.
I know.
It would allow me to fly bigger and faster planes. And trying to think of, once I get that license, I can also validate that license in Mexico. So I can also fly.
I can actually see this fleet, esta flota de aviones llenas de mujeres, de estas latinas, or anybody. Welcome everyone. Doesn't have to just be Latinas.
Yeah, you know what? And that was actually what we were going to do this June.
Yeah,
There's a race that was created
that's
in
right.
1929, and Amelia Earhart was one of the participants of the race, along with 19 other women. They
Yes.
called them, aviatrices,
Right.
or
Oh, I love the name,
women
Aviatrices. Sí.
flyers,
Yes. And
and
it got postponed because of COVID,
of
right?
COVID-19. Yeah, so imagine 55 only female pilot teams flying small aircraft between teams of 2 to 4 people, crossing 2,400 miles, 8 stops, 8 different states, and then landing and then doing the calculation to see who the winner is. So we're going to do that in 2021. We're super excited.
2021.
And all these little teddy bears, we had a special edition with a black shirt for the
Uh-huh.
race because we're
I
going to
saw
have
that.
black teddy
Yes.
bears at every location. Super exciting.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, I was kind of sad when it got postponed, but that's okay.
no,
Hey, sometimes when things are
no.
postponed and we wait for the right time according to that divine timing, as it's supposed to
Mhm.
be, because everything is well as it is, they
Yeah.
come on, they come even better. So this give you time for you guys to even
Mhm.
restructure and do it even better. Like what you had planned, it gave you more time to even to plan for even better, whatever to organize this flight. And I know that with that, with your experience in flying and learning all this wonderful stuff, she also converted that love for aviation and that passion. She turned it into a tool to help others to find that passion. And I would like Jackie to tell us a little bit more about that a pilot in command that she
Mhm.
talks about.
Well, I created the word Pilotina because I was trying to find. I mean, this industry doesn't have a lot of women, doesn't have a lot of Latinas, and I was trying to find an explanation of, something that I've embodied, and like I've really embodied that, mindset of a pilot.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
hola, Ana, te lo fino.
I love her. I know.
So beautiful.
She's so
I
sweet.
remember seeing her at some of the Carlos events. So it's something so interesting, Yvonne, that I think you would love. When I first started training to be a pilot, I thought I was strapped to the plane. I mean, I was like buckled up onto the plane, right?
Mhm.
And sometimes the plane wanted to go up or down or sideways or whatever the wind was doing. And then, like 5 months into the training, when I started to kind of get a feel for the aircraft and, like become more intuitive,
Yes.
I realized that the plane was an extension of me. And
Ooh.
that moment was
Magic.
like, I like la la
Oh
la,
my God.
like it was
Hallelujah.
beautiful.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Yes,
Yes.
I know those
And
moments.
it's like that moment, right? Like, you can't rehearse it, you can't do it. And then you start to find an identity within that experience, right? Some people around say, who are you? I'm a runner. Some people, for me is I'm a pilotina. I'm a pilotina in command, and I
Yeah.
embody and embrace the risk. I focus on the landing. I become aware to situational awareness, and I elevate people. I use, my brain, my left and my right brain. I'm whimsical because I can be up in the sky and I can soar, but I'm also looking at all the cockpit and all the indicators so that I can land safely. And it's the one thing that has, for me, come to identify my identity in that crazy brain since I was a little girl, since I started
Yes.
reading those books. And my mom's like, I don't know, like, Mom, I want to change the world. I feel something here. And she's like, oh, I don't know if there's medicine for that. I don't know. Like, this little girl, she had 2 boys. They were, they're all much older than me.
Wow.
She was looking for this little girl because she said, this little girl is going to be, sitting down in her chair and she's going to, and then all of a sudden I was born and she's like, holy macaroni, like what happened, like she's got more energy than both of them combined and then some, right? And, and I think this like burning desire, and finally, I found something. Doo-doo-doo. I
Oh
found
my
something.
God, I love
This
that.
thing has challenged me so much, to navigate in this amazing, beautiful space. And I found something
I
that,
see you owning your own plane, actually.
yes, I've already, you know what? We are already in the works for
Just
that,
gotta
but
upgrade that little model. That's all.
But I need to get, I need to get my next license. Like I said, I'm two
You will
steps
get
away
that.
from getting that
It's
license
coming. You know
because
that.
it has to be at least a 4 or 6 seater when I
Yes.
do get it, and I want to paint it purple. Something with amazing and purple, and maybe some teddy bears in the back of the.
And you know,
I don't know
the
how to
power,
figure it out.
yeah, and the power of manifestation. I try to tell people that this is real, that it goes beyond the vision, right, Jackie? You have to feel it. You have
Yeah.
to, for example, Jackie once she's talking about that 4-seater plane. Well, all Jackie is gonna do that every now when she lays down in bed, she's gonna see herself. Not only see herself, she's touching that plane. She's feeling the steering wheel. She's looking at the gadgets, at the dashboard, whatever you guys call in your pilot lingo, and that's the story. And there you are. And it goes for everything that you want in life because there's no limit to what you create in your imagination to have the life that you want, right, Jackie?
Yes. And you know what? If I can survive
To
flying an
answer.
aircraft by myself with my teddy bear and be confronted with some of the worst turbulence and decide to land and choose to land, I could do anything.
Have you run into many turbulence up there? Have you ever experienced a
One
lot?
occasion, it was like a life death, kind of situation. And it happened, recently. And I decided to,
Mm.
take off, you know. I decided to land, most importantly. I
Yeah.
made the decision, because so many times, we find ourselves in situations with pressure, where
Yeah.
one moment can change the course of action. And in aviation, we have a formula. When things like that happen, we say, first, you aviate. So no matter what happens, you fly the aircraft. You never let go of the controls. And just to give you a perspective, when you're in a situation like that, I mean, every part of you is engaged. Every limb of your body is
I'll say.
basically, your feet are controlling the rudders. Your left hand is controlling the stick. Your right hand is controlling the RPMs, the power.
Wait. You
And
just said your feet are controlling something?
yeah, the rudder controlled. Basically, your feet and the stick, they make sure that the nose and the tail are always aligned.
I didn't know
Whether
that,
you're
Jackie.
straight or side, turning, they're always aligned. Basically, what it means is that both wings are actually flying, not just one. Because if one wing stops flying, it stops, like you could spin into the ground, right? So you always have to keep the nose and the tail completely aligned. And so there's like 20 things going on when you're flying an
I
aircraft,
didn't
and
know
you're
the feet were involved. I thought it was
oh,
all in the
absolutely
dashboard and
fully
here
engaged.
and the
No,
thing.
nope.
But I just got the visuals. That was like my canoe that you have this thing. It's like
And
a
actually,
cardio.
you drive the plane on the ground with your feet. You don't even use any of your hands.
No
You
kidding.
basically drive when you're taxiing to the runway. When you're taxiing after you don't use your hands. You use
I
your
did
feet.
not know that. And I flew with you. I didn't even notice. I was too busy looking outside, enjoying everything.
Yeah,
I
and
didn't
it's
even notice your feet were being used.
so imagine you have a difficult situation. You're like, okay, my main priority is to land. In your mind, you're fighting maybe with that. You're fighting with, but most important, you're fighting with your mind, right? You're not fighting with the elements. You're fighting with your mind. You're fighting with, extracting all of the experiences from before and having this extemporaneous sort of like moment to say, I choose to land. So you first aviate, you fly the plane no matter what. You navigate, you always know where you are in correlation to the aircraft, in correlation to the wind, in correlation to how will you do how will you enter the downwind, how will you convert that plane when the engine quits into a glider, and how much time do you have to come down and land safely, like a beautiful glider just coming down. So you have to think of all that stuff. There's like 30 things going on, and then finally you communicate. So aviate, navigate, communicate in that specific order, and it'll save your life. It saved my life, earlier this year when I confronted that situation. And I was very grateful that I had an opportunity to go through that experience, to continue to grow and be humble as a pilot. And I was also grateful that I had 5.5 years of flying experience
Wow.
behind me, and it didn't happen when I was doing my first solos, that it saved my life. So
I was about to say,
serious stuff,
like, how many flights? I think you recently, and I don't want to quote me wrong because I don't want to sound ignorant, but recently you celebrated like a whole bunch of flights, like a big
Yeah, my
milestone.
first 100 hours of flight.
How many?
100 hours of flight.
Wow.
Yes,
Check
a
that
pilot.
out. And listen to Anna over here. She loves flying. Anna, we're going to have to take you flying with Jackie one of these days. Let's drive the camper to Chicago. You're coming with me. So I have to drive it by myself like I did last year, right, Jackie?
Yes,
So you say
exactly.
that Jacqueline is a pilot out to Marini, love flying. We got to take her flying, Jackie.
Yes, and you know what? I always notice that, like my life always gravitates towards books, and recently, after the last 5-6 years to aviation, um, and I always say, you know what? Two things that I recommend for people. One is write a book,
Write a book.
create a legacy. That's the one thing, right? Especially you, Yvonne. After that.
I know we're working on it.
And then second, pilot a plane. Feel the wind beneath your wings.
I'd rather you fly me.
Feel that, but for 5 minutes, but just feel the magic of being in a three-dimensional space and the amazing, just pure magic in your heart of soaring and feeling free like a bird in a 3D space. It's just feeling that for 5 minutes.
You know who love? I mean, I love that, what you just said, but I know there's someone in the audience that loves that even more, and that's Anna Dinofrio. Because you said a keyword there that many people are not aware that we have very gifted learners, and they go into this three-dimensional way about how they experience life, which makes them very unique. And it could be expressed today as dyslexia. Some people could be autistic, but yet they have a brilliance about them,
Yes.
And Anna, I know she could relate to that explanation that you talk about, that three-dimensional place that you go to be able to do this. So thank you for sharing that, Jackie, because I know she probably, she said, here, look, I wanted you to see that. Oh, I love that.
Yes, it could
That
be like
resonated with her.
absolutely.
And I
Yeah, and
want to show.
it's a big challenge, and a big responsibility, especially when you're flying, your 71-year-old dad or your husband or your 10-year-old daughter or your 14-year-old son and the teddy bear. It's responsibility of being a pilot in command takes a whole nother dimension, when you're flying amazing people like you that, I appreciate, and, that, it's a huge responsibility to land.
You just mentioned your significant other, your other half. How does he feel flying with you? Rey. We call Jacqueline Camacho Ruiz Mr. Ruiz. I call him a Rey. But that's a Mexican thing. We call them as a Rey. I said, oye Rey, no, oye Rey.
He
So
likes
it's kind of
that you call him that.
I know, Rey. I know. That's why, because I have Mexican male friends through the years, and they like that. They call you mi reina, Rey. That's right. So how is JP about you flying him? Is he able to be a good king and good Rey and sit there? My pilot in command is flying me. I love that.
We just actually I took him flying to Wisconsin for breakfast last Saturday.
Ooh,
so that was a beautiful
what a nice day.
Beautiful, beautiful day. A little bit bumpy at the landing and takeoff, but up there, at 4 or 5,000 feet, it was just beautiful, smooth, and it was about a 40-minute flight each way. And but I remember, why I got my license? I was like, my vision was, I'm going to fly my husband to lunch. And because 80% of the people that begin their journey to become a pilot, they never get their license because money, time, they get scared, or whatever gets in their way. 80% of the people don't go through all the way. They might have few hours here and there, but they don't actually get their license to carry passengers and all that. And for me, my vision was, I'm going to take my husband to lunch on the plane. And it took me 6 months to convince him. And when I told him that the owner of the school said that he trusted me enough to let his mom fly with me, then my husband said, okay, I'm in then. So we went to lunch, and we landed in a skydiving airport. And next to, imagine 10, 20 skydivers landing next to me, dropping like little ants.
As you're landing?
As I'm landing, yes. So keeping
Wow.
an eye on that, because I'm flying with an engine, I'm flying with, and I'm landing next to them because there's a grass strip, and then you have the restaurant there that has like a, it's like a hangar, like the door opens up and then you have like music and, it's beautiful, So we're there, we get there and we landed, go through the back, start eating, and the service says, oh, where'd you guys come from? Oh, we came from, we flew in from Aurora. Oh, perfect. And the service said to my husband, you must be a great pilot. And my husband looked at him and said, actually, the pilot is my wife.
Ah!
Ooh. That
Wow.
moment, that moment,
Right.
you know what it took for me to get there, and it makes me emotional because I poured my heart into this. I mean, imagine running two companies, traveling the world, two nonprofit organizations, launching books from New York Times, going to that event that we were together at the United Nations, going to Dubai, Costa Rica, coming back, and all this stuff, and in between, finding that zen and that pure concentration so that I can be the best I can as a pilot in command. And
Wow.
then I did it. I did it. I
Wow.
got my wings. And when that FAA examiner, Alan, Alan said, Jackie, you are a pilot in command.
Wow.
Safe landings. That's the best
Congratulations.
wish that we
Yes.
can give any other pilot. So if you want to say, you don't say good luck to a pilot, you say safe landings.
Safe landing. Oh,
That is
yes.
like, yes, anything you do. If you wish me safe landings as a pilot, I will love you forever.
Thank you for
Because
sharing that.
that's
I'll never say good luck. Say
safe
safe
landings.
landing. That makes sense.
Mhm. I don't care about anything else.
Yeah.
I can take off, but if I have a safe landing,
No, but you have
it's
a
fine.
beautiful phrase, and I don't want to botch it. I'll allow you to say it for yourself, but you got a beautiful phrase that goes with that. Something. Go ahead, Jackie. Something
Taking
you.
off is optional.
Thank you.
Landing on your dreams is mandatory.
Thank you. I need to.
Safe
I
landing.
wasn't going to try to say that because I was going to botch it. But look, Hannah say here, safe landing. She likes that. She also asked a question when you were talking, and I want to put it up so you can answer the question for her. There you go, Anna. All right. The question is, how do you keep the focus on everything you need to keep track of to fly straight?
There's a couple of ways. Number one, there's called we have a GPS, so of course that's the easiest way. But we also have the magnetic heading. So typically, when you're taking off, of course you're aware of all your surroundings and you know the general direction of something. So, for example, when I'm planning a flight, I'm thinking of the magnetic heading of that flight. So, I basically keep that heading when I'm flying in the plane. Many times, if the wind is coming from one direction or the other, I have to turn into the wind. And even though I'm flying sideways, I'm flying in a perfectly straight line to my destination. So it's knowing, what the three-dimensional space is doing that day, so that you can, you know, if I were to find another word for a pilot, I would say we are energy managers, because what
Energy.
we're
I
doing,
like that. I
we're
like that.
managing energy
It's true. Makes total
constantly.
sense.
We're managing the angle of attack of the wings, right? We're managing the angle of attack. We're managing the airflow of the wind,
Look at.
the air as the air is coming through the wind,
I
and
love
that's what
that.
creates lift. We're
Yes.
managing, there's so many things that we're managing. We're managing, a flight straight. So if you're flying and if the wind is coming this direction, what you do is you turn into the wind and then you fly. You could be flying like this, completely in a straight line.
So the wind is not gonna like draft you in the direction.
No,
How cool is that?
we always try to take off into the wind, land into the wind, and if we need to get to a specific direction, point into the wind so that we can, use that energy. So you might be seeing a plane, and you're like, "Well, is that plane flying sideways?" If you kind of pay attention close enough, but it's actually flying a perfectly straight line, and it's using, the headwind or the tailwind as a way to sort of navigate. So it's definitely, like I said, a challenge. And when you think, oh, I've got this, then there's like 49 areas that you need to be proficient at, and you can't copy anybody. I mean, it's like it's like you have to understand all those 49 areas because they all sort of combined, and you're doing 20 things at the same time, especially at landing. So
Look at what Anna said. She's listening very carefully. She goes, so much more than I ever realized. Wow.
it's a whole nother world, and that's why when you get those wings and you're like, okay, you are
You deserve that.
somebody
You
from
earned those
Federal
wins.
Aviation Administration says you are a pilot in command. I mean, it's so much more than just saying, here's your license, your plastic, piece of plastic, whatever. It's understanding, it's alignment, it's congruency with your actions and your word. It's the safety aspect, most importantly. It's the realization, and it's somebody who's vetted you as a safe pilot, and that is probably the biggest honor that I've had bestowed upon me, to say you are the pilot in command. So I just want to share this magic
I
with
love
as
it.
many
Just
people
because
as I can.
I actually like flying. I never thought of wanting to be a pilot, but I love flying. I guess I like to be flown.
I like to be in the cockpit.
Yes. So
Flying.
Jackie, asking you really quick, when you were little, what did you want to grow up to be? Did you actually ever thought of yourself, anything on the stuff that you're doing today that you wanted to be when you were little? Do you remember anything like that? I want to be a publisher. I want to write books. The pilot, we know we came at 31, but when? What did you want it to be when you grow up? We're still growing up. What did you want to be when you want to grow up, actually?
I wanted to be the one constant thing that I wanted to be was an entrepreneur, because my dad, we used to like be a business owner. That's the way that you can achieve your dreams. Like, you business owner, be an entrepreneur. Like, I didn't know what or how or what I was going to do, but that was like embedded in my mind. Like, I wanted to be an entrepreneur in the land of dreams, which is here and now.
Wow, exactly. Thank you for sharing that. And Anna just made a comment here. So you must remember what we just said about three-dimensional. So you must be a visual spatial learner.
I see that. Yeah, I think there's so many things that you have to be a good communicator, a good multitasker, a good visual learner, good in math. I mean, there's a lot of different things that sort of come together, and you form this big container of knowledge for safety.
Yes.
And it's every time I take off, and maybe can I share a little prayer?
Honey, this is your space. I'm just listening. I'm loving the company. You can talk for 2 hours. I'll be here listening.
let me share with you, because I
actually have some other clips in here that I would like to share really quick. Like, there's this one here that talks about her entrepreneurial part, and also how she's encouraging. There's a little surprise here that I thought it was kind of cute. It's very short one, but listen to what she says at the end and what her thing is all about. It actually even surprised me. Watch this.
My name is Jackie Camacho Ruiz. I am one of the few Latina sports airplane pilots in the United States, author of 16 books, and a serial entrepreneur. It is my honor today to present you an amazing serial entrepreneur. Let me tell you about Alex Jimenez, a 13-year-old boy that is making a difference in the lives of many, many young kids. Throughout the year, he saves his money. He sells chocolate bars, he washes cars, and he does everything he can to host events around the year so that he can provide toys to kids suffering against cancer. Please join me and 13-year-old Alex Jimenez in making a difference with his nonprofit organization, Smiles Against Cancer. I am the spokesperson for the Latino community to help reach as many people as we can to make a difference, and you can join us too. Please visit www.smilesagainstcancer.org.
I thought that was so cute that there you are helping a young entrepreneur. Like just like when you started when you were young, and there you are, you're passing it forward. And I just wanted to share that.
I've donated a bunch of my teddy bears to his organization as well.
He's like 13 years old, right?
Mm-hmm. He just turned 14.
Oh, wow. No, that kid is let's make sure you keep his contact.
And I just published a book for him as well,
you
called
did?
The Big Idea, about entrepreneurship. Because
What's the name of the book again?
The Big Idea.
The Big big
big
idea. Hey, maybe
idea.
we got to interview this young entrepreneur. The big idea.
Yes,
I love
absolutely.
it.
I'll be happy to. And let me share this beautiful
Please go ahead.
prayer because this kind of sums up, and hopefully we can also use it for, for our lives. So this is a prayer that was given to me by Kylie Kanur and Marie Lazara from our team at JJR Marketing. And I treasure this with all my heart. And this is kind of similar to what I do before I take off on every flight. It says, the prayer for pilots. Dear Lord, thank you that I have the privilege for flying airplanes. Thank you that I can take to the sky, see the earth become small and fall away beneath me. Oh Lord, help me find with skill and diligence to follow procedure and to keep those who I carry safe. Alert me in difficulties and danger so that I have the time to respond and pray. As I take to the skies, come lift my heart too. May I always give thanks to the goodness in my life. As the earth blurs beneath me, come give me your heart for it. Please inspire my mind to see everything through your eyes, and may my prayers be free, dynamic, and effective from this perspective. Lord, lead me closer to you each time I pilot this plane.
Oh,
Amen.
wow. Thank you, Jackie. I love that. Is that very long? I could actually add it to the ticket here so people can.
I have to probably type it up, but I can definitely
Oh,
send you
no, it's okay. Yeah, yeah. Send it to me. I'm not sure if I
a
can do it,
photo.
put it in the type it in the ticket.
Oh, I
Um,
love it.
but that's beautiful. Actually, you should publish that. Every pilot should have that. English and Spanish, both. So let me see here. As you were reading, someone else put something else. Who's this? This was Anna. Oh, not everyone can think in 3 dimensions simultaneously. You hear that? She's
Mhm.
she's very
So beautiful.
knowledgeable about that. And there you go. In terms of issues learning, she will work with gift instead. Yeah, and that's the thing that there's a lot of people like Jackie, like Anna, like my grandson, that they show early signs of being gifted learner, and sometimes our education is not as ready or prepared to handle this kind of brilliance that the kids come into the world. They're kind of different, and there's somebody here. I'm not sure who that is. Hi, how are you? Thank you for tuning in. So Jackie, I'm going to ask you just off the question because I know we're getting ready to wrap this up. We have gone a little bit over than expected, but who cares? She's my guest, and this is my space, and we can stay for as long as we want to, as long as you guys are willing to listen to us. Um, so I always say,
My hair.
if you win, what would you like the audience to go away with from having listening to you sharing all your wonderful magic and your extraordinary your life? What would you like them to go with?
I want you to know that everything that you desire and the how to is inside of you. That you don't need to go through the depths of the ocean or the biggest mountain to find the calling. And the more that you get yourself exposed to different areas, the more that you'll find the attunement to your heart and the alignment. And that's the best way to discover if something is or is not for you. And it's it's all about that congruency of your thoughts, your words, and your actions. And that's where the magic is. It's knowing that all the magic is inside of you, that you can connect to God and the universe, but ultimately, you know God will guide you to make decisions, to take actions. And that's how I've been able to discover my many different callings. For me, I'm a servant leader. I live to serve and serve to live, and I always say that I renew my gratitude contract with God by my acts of service every single day. And and everything else that I do comes with that, whether it's what we be speaking across the world, being on a stage, writing books, publishing different programs. All goes back to being a servant leader and a dream catcher for other people. As I take that very seriously, and I think that you have, every single one of you have that magic inside of you, or as I call it, magic
Magic.
times 10. So
Well,
that's
and
my
to borrow, yes, thank
message.
you. Very good. And thank you. And just to borrow, which is amazing that she hasn't said the word yet today. I got to say it. I beat you to it. But Jackie is known for her amazingness, and she's in love with the word amazing, just like we all should be, because it is an amazing word. So, yes, your life is extraordinary, Jackie. Your life is amazing. Thank you for sharing it with us. And having shared this and saying this, what is your superpower, girl?
Being a dream catcher.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Being a dream catcher.
Yes, well, you guys hear that? Jacqueline's superpower, she's a dream catcher, and she sure is. And I can attest to that. So many other the women that she has elevated, encouraged, and put you annoy us to write books. We're here because of her, and I thank you, Miss Jackie. And I thank you for coming over and chit chat with me and doing this girl thing. The next one, we're going to have a pajama party. We should do that. It'll be fun, right?
We can fly to a destination.
Oh my God, I'll be there at 17. It's funny because you probably can relate to this. You know that I've been wanting to go out there, right? But my camper, the 3 times that I had decided to hit the road, have decided to act down. Finally, it's right now in the mechanics again. I said to myself, I better wait because it's back in the shop. Something with the niche and something with the coil. But I will surprise you guys. It only takes 17 hours driving. And I got my mobile home. I just have to show up. I'm here. Open the door. Well, thank you, Jackie. Thank you for coming over. This was a great chat. I hope everyone got as much as I did listening to Jackie. Although I have heard many of these snippets of story. I'm always love to hear them again because you always hear something new or inspires you something. Or it gives you an idea that you might be working on, and you kind of extrapolate from that. So that's why it's always great to listen to people's storytelling, because you never know. They cannot see that their story is going to ignite in you. So having said that, thank you, mi gente. Feliz Wednesday. You can see in the ticket over here where we can find Jacqueline Camacho. And have a wonderful day. Thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
You want to say something, Jackie, before we go?
No, I just want to say thank you, and remember to land on your dreams.
Very good. Thank you so much. Yay. You want to do a Pilotina thing?
Yes. Let's take a picture.
Okay.
See.
Let's see.
I'll
I put. Let me, Lana. I'm gonna get you out of the frame so Jackie can see it. That's too funny. All right, here we go.
Woo!
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's take another one. Hold on, because you were
All
a
right.
little blurry.
I know. I moved too much, and I know. Okay. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Oh, I love it.
Thank you.
No,
All
thank
right.
you. I love it. This is, I
Thank you,
love what you're
Jackie.
doing, and I hope that you continue to elevate people, to inspire them, and find that beautiful pathway of allowing people to find more about mindfulness and presence and joy, because you exude that beautiful energy of joy, and keep doing that because you inspire so many of us.
Oh, Jackie,
Blessings
thank you
to you
so
all.
much. I receive it. From my heart. I love you, chica.
Me too.
Bye-bye, guys.
Besito.
Thank you for staying and tuning in.